What if I told you that envy, the feeling you've been taught your whole life to suppress, to hide, and to be ashamed of, is actually your most accurate compass for success? You know the feeling. That bitter taste in your mouth when a colleague is promoted instead of you. That pang in your stomach when you see a rival on social media achieving the exact goal you're aiming for. It's a corrosive mix of admiration and resentment. You feel paralyzed, diminished. Conventional wisdom gives you useless advice. Be grateful for what you have. Don't compare yourself. Focus on your own journey. But this advice ignores the brutal truth. Envy is a fire that, if left uncontrolled, burns you from the inside out, turning your ambition into ashes of bitterness and your energy into an unproductive obsession with others' success. But what if, instead of trying to extinguish this fire, you learned to channel it? What if you could turn this poison into fuel? In the next few minutes, I will teach you the forbidden logic of envy. You won't learn to suppress it. You will learn to dissect it, to understand it, and finally to weaponize it as a strategic tool to analyze and overcome your rivals. By the end of this video, envy will no longer be your secret shame. It will be your most powerful tool. This isn't cheap self-help. This is the essence of Machiavellian thought. Machiavelli didn't care about how the world should be. He focused relentlessly on how the world is. And human nature, with its darkest passions, is the arena where power is contested. To deny envy is to deny reality. The powerful figures of history did not deny their feelings. They used them as data to map the competitive terrain. Let's be brutally honest. Unmanaged envy is a path to mediocrity. It traps you in a cycle of passive surveillance. You spend precious hours monitoring your rivals' every move, secretly celebrating their failures and seething over their successes. This energy, which could be building your own empire, is wasted feeding a resentment that only weakens your position. You become a spectator in the life you desire instead of its architect. And why is this feeling so persistent? Because it's not a moral failure. Envy is a primal survival mechanism. It is a biological alarm that goes off when your brain detects a threat to your status and access to resources. Envy tells you two things. First, that person has something I deeply desire. And second, their position threatens mine. Society, with its superficial morality, forces you to silence this alarm. But silencing a fire alarm doesn't put out the fire. It only ensures you will be consumed by it. This is why traditional solutions fail miserably. Telling an envious person to be grateful is like telling a starving man not to think about food. It's an insult to their ambition. It ignores the legitimacy of their desire. You want more. You know you are capable of more. Envy is the painful recognition of the gap between where you are and where you believe you should be. Trying to meditate and erase this desire is a recipe for frustration. It is a denial of your own competitive nature. But the Machiavellian perspective does not seek to suppress human nature. It seeks to understand it in order to master it. So, stop fighting against envy. Starting today, you will begin to listen to it, for it has secrets to tell you. The central principle is this: envy is not a sin to be confessed. It is a map to be deciphered. To the strategist, emotions are not good or bad. They are information. Envy is an X-ray of your own unfulfilled ambitions. It points with surgical precision to what you value most and the skills you lack. It is the most honest, albeit painful feedback you will ever receive. A Renaissance prince like Cesare Borgia didn't look at Florence's wealth with simple greed. He analyzed it. Where did this wealth come from? Trade, banking. Which families controlled it? What were the trade routes? The initial envy was the trigger for a deep strategic analysis designed to understand the rival's strengths and, consequently, their vulnerabilities. The emotion was the starting point. Cold analysis was the path to power. Today, your rival's kingdom might be their market share, their online influence, their position in the corporate hierarchy, or their network of contacts. The envy you feel towards them is your subconscious, screaming, "Pay attention, there is an asset you need to acquire. There is a strategy you need to understand." Your rival is not your enemy. They are your most honest and brutal career consultant. Imagine two software developers. Ana envies Carlos, who always gets praise from the boss and leads the most important projects. The conventional response for Ana would be to gossip about how Carlos is a suck-up. The Machiavellian response? Ana asks herself, what exactly do I envy? It's not Carlos. It's the trust the boss places in him. Why? Because Carlos doesn't just deliver the code, he presents it with clarity, connects it to business objectives, and builds alliances. Ana's envy becomes a diagnosis. She needs to stop focusing only on the code and develop her communication and strategic thinking skills. Your first action is to turn this analysis into a document. I call it the envy map. It's an exercise to convert the hot, diffuse emotion of envy into cold, actionable data. Psychologically, this act of writing and categorizing takes you out of the role of the emotional victim and places you in the strategist's chair. You stop feeling passively and start thinking actively. The feeling of powerlessness vanishes and is replaced by a sense of control and purpose. You're no longer at the mercy of the emotion, you are in command of it. Get a notebook, now. First, at the top of the page, write the name of the person whose success bothers you the most. Be ruthlessly honest. No one else will see this. Second, below their name, list exactly what you envy. Don't use vague terms like his success. Be specific. The promotion he got in 6 months. The ease with which he speaks in public. The number of clients he closes per quarter. Third, next to each item, ask, what is the underlying skill, resource, or behavior that makes this possible? Fast, for quick promotion, it might be visibility with senior management and delivery of high-impact projects. For public speaking, it's meticulous preparation and confident body language. This is no longer an object of envy. This is now your personal development curriculum. It is a battle plan. Beware of 2 traps. First, do not fall into blind imitation. The goal is not to become your rival. It is to acquire their assets of power and adapt them to your unique style. Second, the analysis must be a cold, detached act. Do the exercise and then step away. Do not become obsessed. The map is a tool, not a shrine. Once you have the map, the next phase is silent execution. I call this the rival's shadow. You will use your rival's performance not as a source of frustration, but as your minimum performance benchmark. And you will do this in complete silence. This leverages our innate competitive drive in a controlled way. Vague goals like I will be more productive are useless, but a concrete goal like my rival publishes 1 report a week, so I will publish 2 creates a relentless urgency and focus. You are no longer competing against an abstract idea of success. You are competing against a real, visible adversary. First, identify your rival's key performance indicators, KPIs. If they are a salesperson, how many calls do they make per day? If they are an artist, how often do they finish a piece? Observe, analyze, quantify. Second, set your own goals to secretly exceed these numbers. If they get to the office at 8 a.m., you get there at 7:30. If they present 1 new idea per month in meetings, you present 2. Third, and most importantly, do not compete openly. Outperform them in secret. Do not announce your intentions. Let the quality and quantity of your work speak for itself. Power emerges from surprise when, seemingly out of nowhere, your results begin to eclipse theirs. The key word is secret. If your rival realizes you've made them a benchmark, they might change tactics or use it against you, painting you as envious and obsessed. Your competition is silent. It is a war fought in the shadows where victory is decided by results, not declarations. This is the most advanced phase. After mapping and starting to outperform, you can use your deep knowledge of the rival to neutralize their advantages. You don't attack their strength directly. You make it irrelevant. This principle is based on the idea that every strength, when taken to an extreme, creates a corresponding weakness. Over-specialization leads to rigidity. Excessive charisma can mask a lack of substance. By understanding the source of your rival's power, the very source your envy identified, you become uniquely qualified to identify and exploit its inherent vulnerability. First, Go back to your envy map. For each strength, you listed ask, what is the cost, the downside, or the blind spot associated with this strength? For example, is your rival a technical genius revered for their depth of knowledge? The likely weakness is their inability to communicate these complex ideas to non-experts, like the board of directors. Are they a phenomenal networker who knows everyone? The likely weakness is that their actual work might be superficial because they spend more time socializing. Second, position yourself to exploit that weakness. In the meeting where the technical genius speaks, don't try to outperform them on technical knowledge. Let them speak. Then, step in and say, "Thank you, Carlos, for that deep analysis." To translate that into business impact, you didn't attack their strength, you made it a prelude to your strength. Strategic clarity. You neutralized their advantage. Let me be clear. This is not about sabotage, slander, or unethical attacks. This is about high-level positioning and strategy. Neutralization happens when you make your rival's main skill a secondary factor in the success equation, because you have changed the rules of the game and highlighted a field where you are superior. Today, you have stopped being a victim of envy and have begun to become its master. You have learned to no longer be ashamed of this feeling, but to use it as the most honest tool in your arsenal. First, you decode it with the envy map, turning emotion into data. Second, you use it as fuel with the rival's shadow, turning resentment into discipline. And third, you use it to position yourself with strategic neutralization, turning your rival's strength into your opportunity. True power, as Machiavelli taught, does not come from wishing that reality or human nature were different. It comes from accepting them in their brutal and beautiful entirety, and then having the cunning to bend them to your will. Strength is not the absence of dark feelings like envy. It is the ability to forge them into a weapon. You don't need toxic positivity. You need strategic clarity. Envy, when mastered, is the clearest lens of all. Your task for today is simple but transformative. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Grab a notebook or open a document. Think of that person whose success causes you that pang of discomfort. And start drawing your envy map. Don't judge the feeling, don't censor yourself, just analyze. This is the first step in turning a poison that consumes you into a power that drives you. Use the comments section below. Without naming names, share one skill or asset you realized you needed to develop after honestly analyzing a rival. Let others see that they are not alone in this feeling. And if you are ready to learn how to master another fundamental emotion, watch our video on the alchemy of fear, how to transform anxiety into decisive action. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and remember, don't play the game, set the rules.